Hey guys, it's me, Mary. I've never done a booktube-like video, but I figured I would try one out because I've really been getting more involved with booktube lately, given that I'm a huge reader and an author. So I figured, why not? And I have the perfect book, and we're going to talk about it. So I just got done reading Gaslighting, Recognize Manipulative and Emotionally Abusive People and Break Free by Stephanie Moulton Sarkis, PhD. So there's a story, first of all, behind why I wanted to read this book and learn about gaslighting. So it's a two-parter. The first part is that I worked with a gaslighting woman for 3 years, and because she was my superior, I was put into a lot of situations where I had to do what she said or else, and it was just very emotionally draining. Thankfully, I'm free from her and that kind of work environment. And the second is that I dealt with it with a guy recently. There was a much older guy that has been in my orbit for a long time, and we started talking a few months ago. He approached me first and we just really hit it off, and I thought it was going somewhere, you know. He gave me his number and we were talking for like a month, and then I ran into him when I checked into his workplace. He works at a place that I go to pretty frequently, so it's kind of it's complicated, but then again, what isn't? And when I ran into him, he was shocked to see me, but I figured he was pretty happy for the most part. Like, he gave me a big hug and was like, "Come on in," and it was just, a moment. And during my 2-day visit at this place, we had a lot of conversations. He gave me a lot of attention, and I knew he was busy the first night, but the second night he promised that we were going to go out after he got off of work, and we didn't, because he stood me up. And hours went by and I had no calls, no texts, no nothing, and I was wondering what was going on. And I didn't want to be a pain in the butt about it, but I reached out twice by text and twice by phone calls, just asking him, "Hey, are we still going out? Is everything okay? Can you let me know one way or another?" And the contact never came. Date never happened. I woke up the next morning with a 2-paragraph apology text message that was somewhat sincere, but yet it wasn't, because he kept blaming everybody else for his own insecurities and problems except himself, because most of which he brought on himself. As much as I liked the attention from him while he was at work, I advised him to keep it to a very minimal. He made it very obvious at work, and that's what I was trying to avoid. And when I confronted him the next morning, he seemed guilty about it, but yet he was annoyed because he got reprimanded by his boss, which is to be expected, of course, given what he did. But he didn't say much to me. And when I asked him the question of what does, seeing someone outside of work have to do with work, like when you separate your personal life from your work life, and he didn't really have an answer to that. He just seemed like he was in a hurry to scurry off. He's like, "We'll talk about it later." And I was like, okay, because I was just so emotionally drained from like crying about it the night before that I didn't want to flip out in front of all these people that were there. It was pretty crowded in a breakfast area that morning, so I kept my composure pretty well. But days went by. I was wondering if I was going to get a call, going to get a text. I reached out multiple times and yet again, and all I got was radio silence. And it goes to show that he didn't care about me as much as he claimed to. I personally think there was somebody else already in the picture, but I could be wrong about that. But given the way he acted all shady and everything, for example, never answering my phone calls or texts past 4 p.m. for the most part, I found that very sketchy. So, yeah, Blocked his phone number, moved on. It's been about a couple weeks. I'm doing okay for the most part. Wow, I got sidetracked. Anyways, back to the book. So the book is excellent, and what it does is it breaks gaslighting down into different subcategories basically. Starts off with an introduction about what gaslighting is, very literal dictionary definitions. The categories that it breaks it down into include dating, gaslighting in the workplace, in the family, like parents, siblings, in-laws, grandparents, children even, basic relationships, whether you're, just starting out or whether you've been married for a long time. I feel like I'm missing some red flags, like picking up on the red flags of a gaslighter, how to know if you're a gaslighter yourself and how to work on fixing those behaviors, counseling methods for gaslighting, like when you go to a mental health professional, like some of the exercises that they would do with you, different types of therapy to help you get rid of those gaslighting behaviors and to deal with your emotional trauma as well. And yeah, it's a great book. It's about 250 pages long, roughly. I don't really read a lot of the references in the back, because most of which I don't always use, but the ones I do use, I look up online. But Gaslighting, Recognize Manipulative and Emotionally Abusive People and Break Free by Stephanie Moulton Sarkis is an excellent book. It's very informative. I recommend you read it. I would give it 5 stars out of 5 stars. And as someone who has been gaslit for years and going through these 2 awful experiences that I went through, I'm telling you, you could benefit from this book. And the knowledge that I learned in this book, I actually helped one of my internet friends with the other day. And I explained to her about what gaslighting was, and she was like, oh my gosh, Mary, you're right. I've been gaslit by this guy for so long, and it's time to put an end to it. So it really helped me in my moving on process. And I think it could help a lot of people. So read it, and hopefully you won't get stuck being in the position that I was in.